No one currently alive has stood in Reykjavik and watched the sun go completely dark. Not your grandparents, not their grandparents, not anyone born in the last 19 generations. The last time it happened in that city was the year 1433, and in 11 days, it happens again. This isn't a metaphor and it isn't clickbait exaggeration. On August 12, 2026, the moon is going to do something over a very specific stretch of the northern hemisphere that hasn't happened there in living memory, and in one particular case, hasn't happened in over half a millennium. By the time you finish this video, you're going to understand exactly why this event is being called the most anticipated sky show of the decade, why it takes a completely bizarre path across the top of the planet, and why the people lucky enough to be standing in the right spot might get to see 3 different astronomical miracles stacked on top of each other in a single night. Let's start with the basics, because the mechanics of what's about to happen are stranger than most people realize. A total solar eclipse happens when the moon passes directly between the Earth and the sun, and the moon's shadow, called the umbra, touches the surface of our planet. If you're standing inside that narrow shadow path, the sky goes dark in the middle of the day, the temperature drops, stars come out, and for a few minutes you can look directly at the sun with your bare eyes and see its outer atmosphere, the corona, glowing like a silver ring around a black disk. It is, by nearly universal agreement among people who've experienced it, one of the most overwhelming natural phenomena a human being can witness. But most solar eclipses are invisible to almost everyone, because the path of totality, the strip of Earth where the shadow actually falls, is incredibly narrow, sometimes only a couple hundred kilometers wide, and it usually crosses ocean, desert, or uninhabited wilderness. That's exactly what makes this particular eclipse so unusual. This one is going to cross some of the most visited, most photographed, most populated tourist destinations on Earth. Here's where it gets genuinely strange. Most eclipses travel in a relatively straight line, roughly west to east, following the moon's shadow as it races across the globe. This one doesn't. The eclipse of August 12th begins at a location so far north that the sun technically never sets there in mid-August. It starts on the Taimyr Peninsula in Siberian Russia, at a local time of almost midnight, in a kind of eclipse that begins at what's technically called sunrise, even though the sun is already up. From there, the moon's shadow doesn't travel across the planet in a straight line. It loops up and over the North Pole itself, arcing across the Arctic Ocean before dropping down onto the frozen coastline of eastern Greenland. Then it keeps moving. It crosses the Denmark Strait and makes landfall again in the westernmost part of Iceland, sweeping directly across the Reykjanes Peninsula, right past the edge of the capital city, Reykjavik. From there, it races nearly 300 kilometers per hour across the Atlantic Ocean, and less than 40 minutes later, it touches down again in northern Spain, brushing the very edge of Portugal before the sun finally sets on the whole spectacle in the waters near Majorca. Total distance covered by the shadow, over 8,000 kilometers. Total time the shadow spends touching the Earth's surface, about an hour and 36 minutes, start to finish. And yet, if you're standing in any single location along that path, the moment of true darkness, of full totality, lasts only a couple of minutes at most. At the point of maximum eclipse, out over the ocean near Iceland, totality peaks at 2 minutes and 18 seconds. Blink through half of it, and you've missed the best part. Now here's the number that should actually stop you. This will be the first total solar eclipse to touch mainland Europe since August 1999. That's 27 years. An entire generation of Europeans has grown up never having seen the sun completely vanish from their own continent's sky, and the next time a total eclipse crosses most of Europe again won't be until the year 2075. But that's not even the record-breaking part. That honor belongs to Iceland. The total eclipse touching Icelandic soil this August will be the first one the country has experienced since June 30th, 1954. 72 years. And if you narrow it down to the capital city specifically, Reykjavik, the wait has been almost unthinkably longer. The last time the path of totality crossed directly over Reykjavik was June 17, 1433. That is 593 years ago, before the printing press, before Columbus crossed the Atlantic, before the fall of Constantinople. Reykjavik existed as a settlement back then, and the people living in it looked up and saw exactly what a small, lucky crowd is about to see again this August, for the first time since. And once this eclipse passes, the wait starts all over again. The next time totality touches Icelandic soil will be June 26, 2196. The next time it returns specifically to Reykjavik won't be until 2245. In other words, every single person watching this video right now, And every person currently alive on planet Earth has exactly one opportunity in their lifetime to see this. This is it. This is the one. So what would you actually experience if you were standing there, along the center line of the path, where the eclipse lasts longest? The sky begins to dim gradually, almost unnervingly, over the course of about an hour, as the moon slowly creeps across the face of the sun. Birds go quiet. Temperatures drop several degrees. Shadows sharpen and take on strange, elongated edges. Then, in the final seconds before totality, thin bands of shifting light, called shadow bands, ripple across the ground like heat waves, caused by the last sliver of sunlight bending through Earth's atmosphere. And then, all at once, the light disappears. For those 2 minutes, the sun becomes a black disk ringed by a pale, silvery halo, the corona, the sun's outer atmosphere, which is normally far too faint to see against the overwhelming brightness of the sun's surface. Bright stars and planets appear in the middle of the afternoon sky. The horizon in every direction glows with the orange light of a sunset, because you're standing inside a shadow that's only a few hundred kilometers wide, with sunlight still blazing just outside its edge. And in Iceland specifically, there's a chance for something even rarer layered on top of all of this. Mid-August marks the very beginning of Iceland's aurora season, and the Perseid meteor shower, one of the most reliable and dramatic meteor showers of the year, peaks on the exact same days as the eclipse, August 12th and 13th. Under the right conditions, with clear skies, a traveler in Iceland this week could theoretically witness a total solar eclipse, the northern lights, and a meteor shower, all within roughly 24 hours of each other, in the same stretch of sky. That combination essentially never happens. It's the kind of coincidence that astronomers spend entire careers hoping to witness once. Of course, none of this is guaranteed. Iceland's weather in August is famously unpredictable, and cloud cover is the single biggest threat to anyone hoping to see totality. Eclipse chasers already have contingency routes planned along the Snæfellsnes Peninsula and the Reytriens Peninsula, ready to move at the last minute if the forecast shifts. Spain, further south and further inland in places like Valladolid and Zaragoza, tends to have significantly better odds of clear skies, which is part of why so many eclipse tourists are choosing to catch this one from northern Spain instead. But wherever it's watched from, the significance doesn't change. On August 12th, the moon is going to pass in front of the sun along a path that arcs over the North Pole, brushes the edge of the Arctic, sweeps across Greenland and Iceland, and lands in Spain. And it is going to do something that the city of Reykjavik has not witnessed since the 15th century. Every single person who sees it will be joining an extraordinarily small club, a group of human beings that on this particular patch of the Earth hasn't had a new member added in nearly 600 years. Mark the date, August 12th, 2026, because whatever you're doing that day, somewhere over the North Atlantic, the sky is about to do something that no one currently alive has ever seen from that spot on Earth, and won't see again for generations after we're gone.